Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today we are playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and when we last left off, we needed to reinterrogate the witnesses and find out what they really saw after we poked holes in many of their stories. So without further ado, let's hop back in and see what the witnesses really saw. What the witnesses really saw. There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself, no, not until I heard that scream. Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen. Alright, it's Santa. Ho, ho, ho. Well, lo and behold. In truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. Alright, but we have our theories, right? Like possibly the actual assailant was hiding in the box, right? Because wasn't our defendant, wasn't he asleep when the witnesses really saw? There was blood on both the hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember seeing that. But the glove only has it on one glove, so it had to be... Hold it! No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well aware of that, sir, but nevertheless. I'm looking to the side, and no one else seems to be having any issues, right? I know what I saw, and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why? Your reasoning is dire. What? One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. Santa's having meditation there. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. Hold it! Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well you know. But... for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? That's not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea, or 10, when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend that's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10? I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. Santa's disappointed. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attackers' hands with blood on them.
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands. Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilded's gloves has any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir. He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. No one's reacting, really? It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves would have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands. This is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it. I didn't actually see anything myself. Not until I heard that scream.
Hold it!
You didn't see anything? Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir. I didn't. Oops. Let's go back. Alright, no one's really reacting. Alright. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and to say I saw him stab the man. Wouldn't you agree, sir? I know what you're insinuating, but I certainly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it? No, sir. I saw nothing at all. Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London streets, no? He's like, my guy. Alright. Oh, please. You didn't even see that? It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid. Sorry to say, sir. It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Ah. He's so busted. Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen. Are you sure?
Hold it!
And everything you saw of the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus. That's right. It was fiercely cold that night, but the glass wasn't frosted over. Oh yes, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter. Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck in the first place. I don't know about this, young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door. It was locked? That's right, and it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play. Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gent inside just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below. Well, I can assure you, I wasn't just looking down, I was glaring long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there was anyone else at all in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? No, they might not have been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. Because there's angles. They couldn't have seen everything. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well. I will uphold the prosecutor's demand. Alright. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting this potential extra passenger could have been situated? Alright, so, let's look. I want to look at the omnibus itself, right? Go inside. Because there was the storage seat. I just want to make sure that we have the right side. Let's look in and see. It was this one, right? This little handle here. The seat has a handle, it seems. Uh-huh. Alright, so it could have been in there, right? Alright, so I would have been here. Let's try.
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, maybe it wasn't hiding. Okay. So, yeah, he wouldn't have been able to see it because he was sitting right here, right? Is as I've drawn here. Ah. That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. He doesn't like that.
Objection!
What does Dracula have to object? It's quite possible. Some phantom was sitting there? You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. But do we? I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. Can you, Mr. Naruhodo? I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witnesses on the roof deck? I have no idea. Who could it be? I mean, the only person that I would guess is the driver, but why was he in there unless he was trying to warm up? We'll say I have an inkling. I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name. Oh boy. You are a fool. We probably are. That response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Uh-oh. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was... who do we have? Was it him? Could it possibly have been Beppo? I mean, the first time he said he saw the stabbing, and then the second time he said he saw nothing. And it was so cold, and he was trying to warm up. He's the only person that I have. But why would he commit the murder? Not the slightest idea. But he's the only suspect that I could possibly think of.
Take that!
And it's probably going to be wrong. Yes, concealed in the blind spot of the cabin that night was none other than this unexpected passenger. Okay, so it's wrong. Whatever so-called logic you use to arrive at that conclusion, it matters not, because your answer has made one thing abundantly clear. The real blind spot is inside your head. It would appear to be unusually large. You could have just said that's not right. Mr. Naruto, our task here is to defend Mr. McGilded, and we are working on the assumption that he is innocent of this crime. Yes, of course. Why? That must mean, then, that there was someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGilded, the true culprit. That's right. Exactly what I've been... Oh. Of course. So the two people sitting inside that cabin, the witnesses saw through the skylight that night, they were the victim and the real culprit. Okay. It does seem as though we've all been making a false assumption. The witnesses weren't looking at Mr. McGilded at all, meaning he has to have been sitting somewhere else. Okay, I get it. So I may not be wrong yet. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat. Alright, so it's Mr. McGilded. That's who was sitting in the other seat. Alright, so here we go. That makes total sense. Alright, so the person occupying the other seat was Magnus McGilded.
Take that!
There we go. The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded? What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant. Is it now, really? Oh, he's mad. If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zeeks. People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
That's our point exactly, dude. But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The fact that he had no blood on his hands itself. The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claimed that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
He didn't like this. And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary! Oh, oh, oh. Order! 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 What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? Oh boy, I'm afraid I don't remember. And you call yourself a hatter? The style of the hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact, except for he was sleeping. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled. I think he was drugged. That's exactly what we're proposing, to be quite frank. He's right. If there was another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it is inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it would have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord? Should we ask Mr. McGilded to testify or not? Yes, he has stuff to say. Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, we need a little time to consider this. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say. Get the man out here, I say. This would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony. If something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild. Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely. Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well. The court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Oh boy. This could turn out really good or really bad. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Right. Let proceedings be resumed. Mr. McGilded, have you been listening to the discourse of the day? To be sure I have, my lord. There are now two matters which the court desires to hear from you. The first is whether or not there was a third party with you in the omnibus cabin, as proposed by the defense. The second is that if such a person was indeed present, why did you conceal that fact from the police? Begad, no, 'tis not in my nature to hide anything at all. Just answer the questions, please. The truth of the matter is, I've been desperate about this all along. Do I tell yous all, or keep my mouth shut? Tell us what, Mr. McGilded? He looks like he's about to develop the world's biggest migraine. The fine fellow represented me as absolutely right. In the carriage on the night with myself and the other man, there was another passenger. It's true? Aye, and 'twas me who helped the little urchin get away after it all happened. You... what? No, Magnus McGilded, that convenient excuse can't save you now. I'm truly sorry I am, Lord Van Zeeks. I'm sure you'll be wanting to know why I said nothing when I was taken in by the police. I do be having a very good reason, I assure you. Which was? Well, the little child was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and not in any way involved, you see. What? If the police had known the wee one was there, they'd have assumed she'd done it. They'd have hauled her into this here courtroom just like myself. I was only trying to spare her that. Young hearts and young minds are easily damaged, my lord. And who was this young child of whom you speak? That I don't know. You don't know? Aye, well, the wee ting just happened to be in the carriage that night. I never saw her before or since.
Objection!
We have absolutely no reason to believe this man. The prosecution calls for the witness's statements to be disregarded by the court. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if the urchin isn't here in this courtroom as we speak, listening to the proceedings. What? Ooh. That sounded like smoke, fire, there's a fire. Look, someone's trying to get away, cough after them, it's no use. I can't see anything for all this smoke. What's going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo, cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. We were hurriedly removed from the smoke-filled courtroom by the bailiff. Amid scenes of chaos, people stumbled over one another in their desperation to flee the chamber. We had no idea what was happening. All we knew was that for the time being at least, the trial was suspended. To be continued. So what exactly happened in that courtroom? That is going to be what we will find out in the next episode. So if you like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/Liara27. I have my schedule posted in the about and in the description. And if you want to see which games I'll be playing each day, I post them on twitter.com/Liara27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one. Until then, guys, bye.